The void of space stretched endlessly before the human fleet, black and silent except for the glimmer of distant stars and the faint hum of their engines. For days they had trained, prepared, and planned, every move calculated with care, but no simulation, no training exercise could fully prepare them for what was coming. On the bridge of the horizon's edge, Captain Arik Vane stood tall, eyes fixed on the approaching alien ships. The fleet shimmered like a wave of darkness, massive and silent, each vessel a testament to power and precision, and at the center, as expected, loomed the flagship of the alien Queen Zareth. "This is it?" Arik said softly, almost to himself, then louder to the crew. "Remember everything we've trained for. Move as one. Trust each other. Our lives depend on it, but more than that, our species depends on it." Lieutenant Kale Rin gripped the console, heart pounding. He could feel the vibrations of the ship, the tension in the air, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. Yet deep inside, a spark of determination blazed brighter than fear. "We fight," he whispered. "We survive. We prove that humans are more than what they think." Zareth, observing from her flagship, studied the humans with an intensity that sent shivers through her commanders. "They are moving," she said, her voice low and sharp. "They are not fleeing. This is unexpected." Her fleet surged forward, vast and coordinated, expecting resistance but not strategy. To them, the humans were insignificant, fragile creatures in fragile ships, easy prey for an overwhelming force. The first shots rang out in the cold silence of space. The humans fired warning volleys, not to damage but to test reactions. The aliens responded immediately, beams of energy streaking across the void, tearing through asteroids and creating clouds of debris. The humans dodged, maneuvering skillfully, using the terrain of the asteroid belt to shield their movements. Kyle guided his squadron through the chaos. His voice was calm over the comms, directing pilots and engineers with precise clarity. "Left flank, follow the debris field. Shield up, aim for their sensors." His instructions turned chaos into coordination. Each human ship moved with agility the massive alien vessels could not match. Even Zareth's confidence began to waver. She had not expected humans to use terrain so cleverly, to anticipate every maneuver, to react so swiftly. "Curious," she murmured. "They are clever." Not prey, but something else, something worth observing. Amidst the battle, Kale spotted a massive alien warship, larger than any other, preparing to fire a devastating beam at the human fleet. Without hesitation, he calculated a risky path between asteroids and debris to intercept. "I'll draw its fire," he shouted. "Cover me!" The squadron followed his lead, weaving through the asteroid field with precision. Kale's ship shuddered as beams of alien energy narrowly missed and debris ricocheted past them. He focused, every sense alert, using instinct and skill to guide his vessel. With a well-aimed shot, he disabled the warship's targeting system, saving dozens of human lives. The human fleet cheered in the comms, their morale soaring. For the first time, they were not just surviving, they were fighting back. Zareth's eyes narrowed. No species had ever dared to counter her tactics with such intelligence and bravery. Even her elite soldiers were struggling to anticipate the humans' unpredictable moves. "They are resilient," she said, her voice tinged with something she had never expected. Admiration. Perhaps more than we anticipated. On the battlefield, Kale continued to shine. He led a squadron to intercept alien skirmishers attacking a human supply vessel. Using unconventional tactics, they lured the aliens into a trap. Mines detonated, alien ships spun out of control, and humans captured valuable technology in the process. Captain Arik observed everything, pride swelling in his chest. Kale was proving himself not just as a soldier, but as a strategist, embodying everything Arik had hoped for. "That's the kind of thinking that wins battles," he said. Not raw power, but cleverness and courage. Yet the battle was far from over. Zareth unleashed her personal strike team, elite warriors known for their unmatched skill and ferocity. They moved with terrifying speed, aiming directly at Kale's squadron. His heart raced. This was a test not just of skill, but of courage. "Hold formation," Kyle commanded, voice steady. "Use the asteroids. Force them to overextend." The alien warriors attacked, their weapons precise and deadly. Kale dodged, countered, and led his team in a dance of survival, turning each attack into an opportunity. He noticed their pattern, anticipated their moves, and struck at their weak points. Slowly, his squad began to gain the upper hand, disabling enemy ships one by one. Zareth watched the exchange, fascinated. No human had ever faced her elite warriors and survived, much less triumphed. She felt a thrill she had not experienced in centuries, the thrill of witnessing true courage and ingenuity. As the battle raged, Kale spotted the alien queen herself, directing her fleet from the flagship. He realized that to truly protect humanity, they would need more than defensive tactics. They needed a bold move. He devised a plan, risky but brilliant: draw the Queen's attention, disrupt her command, and create a chance for the human fleet to strike. "Captain, I have a plan," Kyle said over the comms. "It's dangerous, but it could turn the tide. Trust me." Auric's eyes met Kale's through the comm screen. He saw the determination in the young lieutenant, the courage that burned brighter than any fear. "Do it, Kyle. Lead the way." Kyle led a small group of the fleet's fastest ships weaving through the battle like shadows. Alien beams streaked past them, debris spun in deadly arcs, and yet they pressed forward, closing in on the Queen's flagship. Every maneuver was precise, every shot calculated. Zareth noticed the approach and sent her elite guards to intercept. The clash was immediate and fierce. Kale's squadron moved with agility and teamwork, dodging attacks and countering with clever tactics. Each success inspired the human fleet, each victory against the aliens proving that humans were more than what she had dismissed them as. For a brief, electrifying moment, Kale faced one of Zareth's elite warriors directly. His ship rocked under the assault, systems failing, shields straining. Yet he did not retreat. He analyzed, adapted, and exploited the warrior's overconfidence. With a daring maneuver, he disabled the enemy ship, leaving it drifting helplessly in space. Zareth's eyes widened. She had expected humans to flee, to break, to surrender under pressure. Instead, she saw a species that fought with courage, intelligence, and tenacity. One human, small, fragile, and yet unyielding, had defied her expectations and won a direct confrontation. The first clash ended not with the annihilation of one side, but with a new understanding. The humans had survived, not because of power, but because of cleverness, teamwork, and indomitable courage. Kale returned to the fleet, exhausted but triumphant, his crew cheering. Captain Auric placed a hand on his shoulder. "You've done well, Kyle. Today you proved that humans can fight like no one else." Kyle nodded, though his mind was already racing with the next steps. The battle had shown them what humans could achieve, but it had also revealed the full scale of the challenge ahead. Zareth had seen their potential, and she would not underestimate them again. Far above, the Queen leaned forward, curiosity and respect mingling in her alien gaze. "Humans," she murmured almost softly. "So fragile and yet so capable. Interesting." The first clash had ended, but the war was only beginning. The humans had survived the initial test, and in doing so, they had demonstrated the greatest strength of all, the courage to face the impossible, and the ingenuity to turn fear into action. In the silence of space that followed, Kale looked at his team, each of them battered, exhausted but alive. "We did it," he said quietly. "We fought and we survived, and this is only the beginning." Captain Auric nodded. "Exactly. And now we prepare for what comes next. Zareth has seen us. She knows humans can fight. That makes us dangerous. That makes us a challenge she cannot ignore. We need to be ready." The young lieutenant clenched his fists. The first clash had proven something to the galaxy. Humans might be small, fragile, and underestimated, but when courage met intelligence, they could survive anything, even the wrath of an alien queen. And somewhere on the flagship above, Zareth's mind churned with a new thought. Perhaps humanity was not as weak as she had once believed. Perhaps they were more than prey. Perhaps they were worthy of her attention. The war had begun, and the humans had made the first statement. They had shown that they could stand, fight, and against all odds survive. The battle had shifted from a skirmish to a war in the void of space. The human fleet, though battered, remained resolute. Every ship carried the weight of humanity's hope, and every crew member knew that today would be a day they would remember forever. The first clash had taught them their strength. Not power, not numbers, but courage and ingenuity. Yet the true challenge was far from over. Captain Auric Vane stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, eyes scanning the darkness ahead. Reports of alien movements blinked across the holographic map. Zareth was no longer simply observing. She was planning, calculating, preparing to strike with her full might. "We've held our ground," Arik said quietly to himself. "Now we see what humans are truly capable of." Beside him, Lieutenant Kale Rin adjusted the controls of his ship. A mixture of fatigue and determination etched across his face. He had survived the first clash through quick thinking and courage. But this battle would demand more. The alien queen herself was taking command of her fleet, and every move she made carried the weight of experience, strategy, and sheer power. Kale's squadron gathered for a briefing, their ships forming a tight formation that emphasized speed, precision, and coordination. "We know what we're up against," Kale said, voice steady. "Zareth will strike hard. We can't match her in strength, but we can match her in wit. Stay agile, trust each other, and above all, do not give up. Remember what we've trained for. Every decision we make counts." The humans moved like shadows through the asteroid field near Arendor. The terrain was their ally, providing cover, obstacles, and opportunities for clever maneuvers. Arik watched Kale's team with pride, noting how the young lieutenant's instincts and tactical skill had grown. Kale was no longer just a soldier. He was becoming a leader, capable of inspiring courage even in the face of overwhelming odds. Far above, Zareth observed the human fleet with an intensity that few had ever seen. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, followed every movement. Her advisors whispered that the humans were fragile, that they would soon break under pressure. But she had learned differently. These humans were unpredictable, capable of adapting and surviving where others might fail. They were fascinating. The alien fleet moved in a massive formation, striking at multiple points at once. Zareth's strategy was clear: overwhelm, intimidate, and destroy. Energy beams carved paths through space, shaking asteroids and sending fragments spinning dangerously close to human ships. Yet the humans did not panic. They moved with precision, using every advantage at their disposal. Kyle spotted an opportunity. A large alien cruiser, positioned to cut off the human supply line, was vulnerable from above. "I'll take a small team and hit it from the asteroid belt," he said. "We can disable its weapons and give our fleet a chance to regroup." Captain Arik nodded, understanding the risk. "Go, Kale. Lead with courage. Your actions could decide this battle." Kale's squadron launched, weaving through debris and dodging enemy fire. The alien cruiser fired relentlessly, but Kale anticipated every shot, using speed, teamwork, and clever maneuvers to evade destruction. He directed his team with calm authority, assigning roles, coordinating attacks, and ensuring no one was left exposed. Inside the alien cruiser, alarms blared. Zareth had anticipated resistance, yet this small human squad had found a weakness in her defenses. Kale's team exploited it, disabling weapon systems one by one. The cruiser's firepower diminished, giving the human fleet a critical advantage. Back on the flagship, Zareth's expression shifted from irritation to fascination. "Impressive," she admitted softly. "No species has fought with such determination and ingenuity." Her advisors murmured, surprised by her approval. But she did not give them time to question. "Continue observing. They may yet surprise us further." Kale's squadron emerged, victorious from the cruiser's attack, but the danger was far from over. Elite alien warriors, faster and stronger than any ordinary soldier, were dispatched to intercept them. Kyle's heart raced as the warriors closed in. He remembered his training. Courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. "Form defensive positions," he commanded. "Use the terrain. Force them to overextend." The elite warriors attacked, striking with precision and force. Kyle dodged, countered, and led his squadron in a series of daring maneuvers. Each human ship struck at a weak point, exploiting patterns that only they could perceive. Slowly, the tide began to turn. The humans were winning not through raw strength, but through clever tactics, coordination, and unwavering courage. Captain Arik observed the battlefield through the main viewing screens. He had always known that humans could endure more than they seemed capable of, but seeing it in action against Zareth's elite forces was extraordinary. "This is what makes us human," he said quietly. "We fight with intelligence, courage, and heart, and that is something no alien can fully anticipate. Kyle pressed forward, taking risks that others might have avoided. He led his team through a narrow passage between massive asteroids, drawing the elite warriors into a trap. Mines detonated, debris scattered, and the enemy was forced to retreat. The human fleet cheered over the comms, the sound of hope cutting through the tension of battle. Yet the Queen was not defeated. Zareth's flagship loomed above the battlefield, radiating power and command. She moved with precision, adjusting strategies and coordinating strikes across her fleet. Kyle realized that this was more than a fight for survival. It was a test, a challenge that would define the future of human space. In the midst of the chaos, Kyle noticed civilians aboard nearby transport ships at risk from the ongoing assault. Without hesitation, he diverted his course. "I'll cover the transports," he shouted to his squadron. "Protect them at all costs." The humans followed his lead, maneuvering through enemy fire, shielding the transports, and guiding them to safety. Kale's courage inspired every ship, every crew member to act with precision and bravery. Even those who had feared the aliens found themselves rising to the challenge, driven by the example of one young lieutenant. Zareth's eyes narrowed. She had expected humans to flee, to panic, to surrender. Instead, she saw a species that not only survived but adapted, protected its own, and fought with relentless courage. For the first time, she felt a growing respect, and perhaps a sense of danger. Kale's actions created a turning point. The human fleet, inspired by his bravery and strategic thinking, began to push back. Alien ships faltered under unexpected tactics. Communication lines were disrupted, and Zareth's forces were forced to regroup. The battlefield was chaotic, but for the humans, the chaos had become an ally. Captain Arik addressed the fleet over the comms. "Everyone, listen. Today we fight not just for survival, but for our future. We have shown them we can stand, and now we push forward. Trust your training, trust each other, and trust yourselves." The human ships surged with renewed energy, striking at alien vessels with coordinated precision. Kale led a flanking maneuver that disabled key weapons on several enemy ships, opening the way for the fleet to gain ground. Zareth, witnessing the resilience and bravery of humans firsthand, realized that this species was unlike any she had faced. They were clever, courageous, and united in ways that defied her expectations. For the first time, she felt a sense of uncertainty. Could these fragile creatures actually challenge her? Could they survive? As the sun rose over the distant planet Arendor, the battle reached a temporary standstill. Both fleets regrouped, damaged ships retreating to repair points, crews tending to the wounded, and leaders evaluating the next moves. Kale stood on the observation deck of his ship, breathing heavily but feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. They had survived the first real test. They had faced the alien queen's forces and proved that humans could fight, adapt, and protect each other against overwhelming odds. Captain Arik approached him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Kyle, today you have done something remarkable. You have shown the fleet, and even Zareth, that humans are not to be underestimated. Your courage and leadership have changed the course of this battle." Kale nodded, exhausted but resolute. "It's not just me, sir. It's everyone. The fleet, the crew. We all fought together. That's what makes us strong." Zareth, observing from afar, remained silent for a long moment. Her mind churned with thoughts she had never entertained before. Humans were not weak, not insignificant. They were dangerous in ways she had not predicted, and that realization changed everything. The turning point had arrived. The humans had proven themselves capable of extraordinary courage and intelligence. And the alien queen, once confident of her victory, now regarded them with a mixture of fascination and wariness. The battle was far from over. Zareth's fleet was still powerful, her strategy still deadly, and the humans were still outnumbered. Yet one undeniable truth had emerged. Humans could fight like no other species in the galaxy, as the fleets. Prepared for the next phase of conflict, Kale stood at his console, watching the stars stretch infinitely before him. He felt the weight of the coming challenges, but he also felt a spark of hope. Humans had faced the impossible and survived. And somewhere above, on the flagship of Zareth, the alien queen pondered a question she had never asked before. Could these fragile creatures actually defeat her? The void of space trembled under the presence of two formidable fleets. The human ships, battered but unbroken, formed a tight formation around Arendor's orbit. Every pilot, soldier, and engineer knew this moment would decide the fate of countless worlds. Their enemy loomed above, the alien Queen Zareth and her vast, imposing armada, a force that had crushed civilizations across galaxies. Captain Arik Vane stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, scanning the alien fleet with a sharp, determined gaze. "This is it," he said quietly to his crew. "Today we fight not because we are the strongest. Today we fight because we are human, and that means courage, ingenuity, and unity are on our side. Remember everything you've trained for. Every life, every action matters." Lieutenant Cale Rinn gripped the console, his heart pounding but his mind focused. The lessons of training, the experience of the first clash, and the turning point of the previous engagement had prepared him for this. And yet nothing could truly prepare anyone for facing Zareth herself. Zareth, aboard her flagship, surveyed the human fleet with an intensity that reflected centuries of conquest. "So the humans have survived," she murmured. Her voice carried over the comm network in a cold, commanding tone meant to intimidate. "They endure. They adapt. Fascinating creatures, very well. Let us see how far they can push themselves." The human fleet moved with precision, weaving through asteroid belts and energy fields, hiding weaknesses and creating opportunities. Every ship had a role, every crew member a purpose. Cale led the frontline squadron, his instincts and courage guiding the fleet through the chaos of approaching alien fire. The first waves of attack came swiftly. Zareth's ship struck with overwhelming force, targeting supply vessels and critical systems. Energy beams tore through space, asteroids exploded, and debris spun in dangerous arcs. Yet the humans responded with unmatched coordination. Shields were raised, evasive maneuvers executed, and counterattacks launched with intelligence and timing. Cale spotted a key opportunity. The alien flagship, massive and imposing, relied on a network of defensive drones and energy barriers. If he and his squadron could disrupt the barriers, the human fleet could strike decisively. "Follow me," he shouted over comms. "We're going in fast. Trust the plan." The squadron raced forward, dodging blasts and navigating between asteroids. Cale's fingers flew over controls, adjusting shields, directing fire, and coordinating with other ships. One by one, the defensive drones were disabled, their energy drained or destroyed by the humans' clever tactics. The flagship's energy shields faltered. Zareth's eyes narrowed. She had underestimated their ability to adapt. "Impossible," she hissed. "No species should have this level of skill, courage, and resilience." She sent her elite warriors to intercept Cale's squadron, hoping to crush the threat before it reached her flagship. Cale's heart raced as the elite warriors closed in. He remembered everything he had learned: courage under pressure, creative tactics, and the importance of teamwork. "Hold formation," he commanded. "We can win this together. Watch for patterns. Strike at weakness!" The battle became a dance of precision and intelligence. Cale's squadron dodged attacks, countered swiftly, and exploited the elite warriors' overconfidence. One by one, the enemy ships fell, their destructive power neutralized by the humans' cunning. Cale felt a surge of hope. This was the moment they had trained for, the moment that could turn the tide of the entire war. Meanwhile, Captain Arik coordinated the rest of the fleet, launching precise attacks on the alien ships exposed by Cale's maneuvers. The human fleet moved as one, agile and intelligent, striking at critical points, disabling weapons, and creating confusion among the aliens. Zareth, watching the events unfold, realized that humans were unlike any species she had encountered. They were unpredictable, relentless, and capable of thinking in ways she had never expected. "They are remarkable," she admitted, a rare note of respect in her voice. Cale's squadron reached the flagship itself. He guided his ship close, dodging energy blasts and debris. Every second was critical. "Prepare for the final strike," he shouted. His team followed, coordinating with precision. They had a plan: disrupt the core systems and force the Queen to retreat or risk destruction. The flagship's defenses fired relentlessly, but Cale's squadron moved faster, smarter, anticipating every move. Using calculated attacks, they struck at the core energy conduits, creating critical failures in the ship's systems. Alarms blared, energy shields flickered, and the massive vessel shuddered under the coordinated assault. Zareth realized the humans had done the impossible. They had forced her flagship into a vulnerable state. For the first time in centuries, she faced a challenge she could not crush through raw power alone. She had underestimated the courage, ingenuity, and determination of a species she once considered insignificant. Kyle seized the moment. "Now everyone, fire at the core." The squadron launched a coordinated strike. Energy beams, missiles, and projectiles struck in perfect synchronization, hitting weak points and critical systems. The flagship rocked violently, sparks and debris flying as power systems failed. The human fleet watched in awe. The seemingly invincible Queen ship was faltering. For the first time, they saw hope, a chance to survive and perhaps even triumph. Zareth roared in frustration and astonishment. She had anticipated victory, yet here were humans, fragile and small, standing against her might and forcing her to retreat. Her elite warriors fought to protect her, but the coordinated human attack was relentless. Kale led the final maneuver. He piloted his ship between the faltering shields, targeting the main control nexus of the flagship. A final, precise strike disabled the systems controlling the Queen's weapons and communication arrays. The flagship's energy faded and Zareth was left exposed, her fleet forced to regroup. The human fleet surged forward, seizing the advantage. Ships that had been cornered now pressed the attack, disabling enemy vessels, rescuing transport ships, and turning the tide of battle. The courage, ingenuity, and unity of humanity had created a turning point, forcing the alien armada into retreat. In the aftermath of the battle, Zareth stood in stunned silence on her bridge. Humans, so fragile, so seemingly weak, had fought with unmatched courage and intelligence. One young lieutenant, Kale Rin, had changed the course of the engagement, proving that raw strength was not the only measure of power. The Queen's advisors waited for her command. "Majesty," one whispered, "they are only humans. Shall we pursue them?" Zareth shook her head slowly, a rare expression of contemplation on her alien face. "No," she said. "They are more than I expected. Today they survive, but we will meet again, and when we do, I will remember this lesson." Back on the horizon's edge, Kale and Arik surveyed the fleet. Ships were damaged, crews exhausted, but morale soared. They had survived against the greatest threat humanity had ever faced. They had fought and they had won, not through raw power, but through courage, intelligence, and unity. Kyle's squadron returned, battered but triumphant. The crew cheered, not for the destruction they had caused, but for the survival, the bravery, and the ingenuity they had displayed together. Kale felt a deep sense of pride, knowing that he had led with courage and inspired others to do the same. Captain Arik approached him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Kyle, today you proved something extraordinary. Humans are not weak. We survive, not because of strength alone, but because of our courage, our ingenuity, and our willingness to stand together. You have shown that perfectly." Kyle nodded, exhausted but resolute. "It wasn't just me, sir. Every person in this fleet fought with everything they had. That's what makes us human. That's why we survived." As the human fleet tended to repairs, rescued stranded crews, and assessed the battle's aftermath, a new respect for humanity began to spread, even among the stars. Zareth had underestimated humans, but now she knew their true power lay not in their weapons, but in their spirit. The Queen's retreating fleet faded into the darkness, leaving the human fleet victorious in orbit around Erendor. The battle was won, but more importantly, humanity had proven itself capable of facing the impossible and surviving. Kyle stood on the observation deck, looking out at the vastness of space. Stars glimmered, silent witnesses to humanity's courage. "We did it," he whispered. "We fought, we survived, and we proved that humans can face anything." Captain Arik joined him, nodding. "And we will face more challenges, Kale. But now we know something vital. We are never alone, and we are never weak. Courage and unity are our greatest weapons." Far above, Zareth watched her fleet regroup. She did not rejoice in victory, for today had been a lesson. Humans, so small, so fragile, and yet so brilliant, had survived. And she knew that when they met again, humanity would not be underestimated. The galaxy had witnessed the triumph of a species many had dismissed as weak. Humans had fought against an alien queen, faced impossible odds, and survived. And in doing so, they had proven a truth that would resonate across the stars. Humans may be small, but their courage, ingenuity, and unity make them unstoppable. Kale smiled faintly, feeling the pride of survival and the thrill of triumph. They had won today, but more importantly, they had shown the galaxy what it meant to be human. And somewhere in the sky above New Terra was a canvas of red and orange, as if the sun itself was warning the people below. In the distance, a fleet of alien ships descended, each one enormous, dark, and bristling with weapons that glowed like green fire. The ground trembled as the first wave of the invaders drew closer, sending panic through the city streets. People screamed and ran for cover, but the human army was already mobilizing. At the forefront of the invasion was the alien queen, Zira. She was enormous, towering over even the tallest of her soldiers. Her limbs were long and segmented, ending in sharp claws that could tear through metal like paper. Her eyes glowed with an eerie light, reflecting her cruel intelligence. She hovered over the battlefield from her command ship, observing humans with a mixture of curiosity and mockery. "They move like insects," she hissed to her generals, her voice sharp and cold, echoing across the ship. "So fragile, so foolish. Do they really believe they can fight us?" Below, Lieutenant Marcus Hale moved with calm precision. Unlike many soldiers who ran blindly into battle, Marcus had a sharp mind and a fearless heart. His uniform was dusty and torn, his face streaked with sweat and grime, but his eyes shone with determination. He signaled to his squad, moving from street to street, directing civilians to safety while coordinating the few armored mechs that remained operational. Marcus knew humans were at a disadvantage in raw strength and firepower. Alien weapons could destroy buildings in seconds, and their armor could shrug off most conventional human ammunition. But humans had one thing the aliens underestimated: adaptability. The first alien drop pods hit the ground with a thunderous crash, sending shockwaves through the city. Alien warriors emerged, clad in exosuits that gleamed like metal serpents under the fading sunlight. Their weapons fired eerie green beams that cut through anything in their path. Most human soldiers took cover, exchanging fire where they could, but many were struck down. Marcus, however, noticed something in the aliens' behavior. They were powerful but predictable. Their movements were coordinated in mass, but small-scale skirmishes revealed gaps in their tactics. He quickly devised a counterattack. "Squad, move! Use the side alleys and traps," he shouted. The aliens are strong, but they aren't clever in small fights. Hit them where they least expect it. Explosions erupted as Marcus's squad detonated improvised charges, collapsing a section of a damaged building onto a group of aliens. The few who survived staggered, their armor dented but not broken. Yet the humans pressed on, firing, retreating, and regrouping in a dance of survival and courage. Queen Zira observed the fight from above. She had come expecting humans to cower and die quickly. Instead, she saw one human, Marcus, moving with precision and bravery. He led his squad, made quick decisions, and inspired those around him. She tilted her head, curious. "One human stands out," she muttered. "Why does he not fear us? Why does he fight with such spirit?" The humans weren't alone in their struggle. Civilians joined the effort, moving supplies, repairing vehicles, and assisting in evacuations. The streets were chaotic, but humanity had a strange resilience. Every fallen soldier seemed to spark more determination among the survivors. Marcus's squad found an abandoned factory near the city's edge. Using it as a temporary base, they repaired damaged mechs and prepared for a counterstrike. Marcus walked among his people, encouraging them, checking their weapons and sharing words of hope. "We have strength the aliens can't take from us," he said. "Not strength of arms, but strength of heart. They may crush our buildings, but they cannot crush our will to fight. Every inch we hold, every life we save is a victory." That night, the alien fleet retreated to orbit to reassess their strategy. Their initial attack had destroyed much of the city, but it had also revealed unexpected resistance. Alien commanders communicated with the Queen, reporting that human soldiers displayed unusual courage and ingenuity. "They are interesting," Zira said, her many eyes fixed on the city lights below. "One human in particular defies logic. He survives, fights, and inspires others. This one must be observed. I will see him in battle." In the ruins of the city, Marcus gathered his squad. They counted their losses, mourned their dead, and prepared for the next wave. Though exhausted, the soldiers were alive with determination. Humanity's strength wasn't in their technology alone. It was in their spirit, their courage, and their unbreakable will to protect one another. The next morning, Marcus led a small team on reconnaissance beyond the city limits. They observed the alien landing zones and studied patrol routes. Every detail was noted, every weakness catalogued. Marcus's mind worked faster than the aliens' brute force. He understood that survival meant using the environment, setting traps, and forcing the aliens to fight on human terms. Meanwhile, Queen Zira summoned her elite hunters. "Observe him," she commanded. "Learn how he fights, how he leads, and how he inspires. I wish to see this human tested." As humans prepared for guerrilla attacks, civilians in the city adapted as well. Children carried messages between safe zones. Engineers repaired weapons in underground workshops, and medics risked their lives to save the wounded. Every small act contributed to the larger effort. Marcus watched these efforts with pride, realizing that humanity's strength was not just in soldiers but in the collective will of all people. Days passed, and skirmishes continued. Marcus and his team struck alien patrols, sabotaged supply lines, and freed captured civilians. With each engagement, more humans joined the resistance, emboldened by the courage of their fighters. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, the humans refused to surrender. Above, Queen Zira watched with growing interest. She had mocked humanity at first, thinking them weak and inconsequential. Now she was forced to reconsider. The courage of one human warrior, Marcus Hale, was unlike anything she had witnessed before. His ability to fight, to inspire, and to endure struck a chord even in her alien mind. "I underestimated them," she admitted quietly to herself. "Perhaps this is not a race to crush, but a race to..." Test. Marcus, unaware of the eyes observing him from orbit, continued to prepare his people. He trained recruits, reinforced defenses, and planned strikes. Every challenge, every loss, every small victory added to his understanding of both the enemy and his own people. And so, the stage was set. Humanity, battered but unbroken, would face the alien threat not as victims but as warriors, and one man, fearless and unyielding, would become a symbol of human courage, one that even an alien queen could not ignore. As night fell over the city once again, Marcus stood on a hill overlooking the lights of the survivors below. He tightened his grip on his weapon and whispered to himself, "If they think we will fall without a fight, they have no idea what humans can do." Somewhere far above, Queen Zira's eyes glowed with intrigue. The mocking she had felt was slowly turning into something else, curiosity. And curiosity, in her experience, often led to respect. The war had just begun, but already, a spark of legend was forming, a spark that could ignite the entire galaxy. The morning air on New Terra was thick with smoke and the faint hum of damaged machinery. The city had not yet recovered from the initial invasion, but human survivors moved quickly, adapting to the new reality. Marcus Hale stood on a ridge overlooking the ruined streets, his squad gathered behind him. Their mission today was risky. A small team would infiltrate an alien supply depot deep inside the city, aiming to destroy weapons and take prisoners if possible. Marcus scanned the streets through a high-tech scope mounted on his rifle. The aliens were patrolling in patterns, but their formations were not perfect. Their strength was overwhelming in large groups, but small squads could move stealthily if careful. "Remember," Marcus said, addressing his squad, "we are not just fighting for survival. Every hit we make weakens them. Every alien we stop gives our people more time to rebuild. We have to be smart, fast, and precise." The squad nodded. They had been through skirmishes before, but this mission felt different. It was not defensive, it was an attack. The first human strike against the invaders. As they moved through the debris-strewn streets, Marcus reflected on the bravery he saw in his people. Civilians had repaired vehicles under fire, carried the wounded to safety, and even children had found ways to support the resistance. This courage, this determination, was what set humans apart from the alien invaders. Where the aliens relied on strength, humans relied on heart. The squad reached the outskirts of the depot. Alien drones hovered in the sky, scanning the area. Marcus signaled for his team to take cover in ruined buildings and shadows. Using improvised cloaking devices and timing their movements carefully, they advanced toward the depot's entrance. Inside, they saw rows of alien weapons, energy cells, and armored suits. This was the heart of the enemy's power on the planet. Marcus's plan was simple: plant explosives, disable key systems, and escape before reinforcements arrived. As Marcus placed the charges, he noticed something unusual. A group of alien engineers were working on a massive weapon, something that looked like it could devastate entire city blocks in seconds. Destroying it would be a huge win, but it was heavily guarded. "We take them out," Marcus whispered to his squad. "No mistakes. We do this cleanly and quickly." The operation began with silent precision. Marcus's team neutralized the guards one by one, using non-lethal takedowns when possible. The tension was palpable. One wrong move could trigger alarms. Yet the humans moved like shadows, driven by courage and careful planning. Suddenly, an alien drone detected movement. A piercing alarm rang through the depot. Marcus swore under his breath. "Positions!" he shouted. The aliens swarmed, their weapons glowing green. But the humans were ready. Explosives detonated at strategic points, sending shockwaves through the depot and toppling metal beams onto the attackers. Marcus fought in the thick of it, moving with a combination of skill and instinct. His rifle fired with precision, and his squad used the terrain to their advantage, ducking behind crates and leaping over obstacles to avoid alien fire. Queen Zira, observing from orbit, felt a thrill of interest. She had mocked humans before, seeing them as fragile and predictable. Now she saw something different. One human, Marcus, moved like lightning, striking hard, inspiring those around him, never hesitating. "Remarkable," she said to herself. "He is more than a fighter. He is a leader." And the others follow him with such trust. Fascinating. Back on the ground, Marcus and his squad pushed deeper into the depot. The alien weapon loomed above them, glowing with a deadly light. Marcus planted the final charge, signaling his team to retreat. The moment the countdown ended, a massive explosion shook the building, sending debris flying and collapsing walls. Alien soldiers were thrown back by the blast and the weapon was destroyed. As the squad retreated into the streets, more alien reinforcements arrived. Marcus knew they could not hold their ground. They had to escape. The city became a maze of fire, smoke, and confusion. Civilians cheered from rooftops and safe zones as they saw the humans fighting back, even if they did not fully understand the battle. Marcus led his squad through a network of tunnels beneath the city, avoiding alien patrols. Every step was tense. Every corner could hide danger. Yet his calm confidence inspired his team. Even when an alien warrior appeared from the shadows, Marcus acted swiftly, taking the enemy down before it could raise an alarm. Above, Queen Zira continued to watch. Her many eyes followed Marcus as he fought, led, and inspired. She realized that she had underestimated humans entirely. This one warrior was unlike any opponent she had faced, not because of his strength, but because of his courage, intelligence, and ability to rally others. "Intriguing," she whispered. "Perhaps humans are worth more than I thought. Perhaps they deserve to be tested." By nightfall, Marcus and his squad returned to their base, battered but victorious. They counted the aliens eliminated and assessed the damage done to the depot. It was a small victory, but a significant one. News of the strike spread quickly among human survivors. It was proof that the invaders could be challenged, that humans were not helpless. In the temporary base, Marcus addressed his squad. "Today we showed them what humans are capable of," he said. "We didn't just destroy a weapon. We proved that courage, strategy, and determination matter. This is how we fight. This is how we survive." The squad cheered quietly, tired but proud. The human spirit had been on display today, and it would only grow stronger. Meanwhile, Zira summoned her generals. "This human Marcus, he is unlike the others. He fights with a fire I have not seen in this galaxy. His people follow him, inspired by his courage. I expected them to crumble, but they do not. Prepare a countermeasure. I want to see how far he can go." The alien generals nodded, though they looked uneasy. They had underestimated humanity once. They would not make the same mistake again. Back in the city, Marcus walked among the survivors, checking on civilians and helping repair damaged equipment. Even in the middle of chaos, he found moments to encourage, to lead, and to inspire. Humanity was not perfect, but it was resilient. And in times of extreme danger, resilience became strength. In the following days, Marcus and his squad continued guerrilla strikes, targeting alien supply lines, communication towers, and patrols. Each victory, no matter how small, bolstered the morale of humans everywhere. Even those who had been terrified on the first day of the invasion began to fight back. Realizing that humans could stand against the alien force, Shira, from her ship in orbit, watched these operations with a mix of curiosity and grudging respect. Her mocking thoughts of humans had begun to fade. She had seen one human warrior who could change the tide of battle with courage, intelligence, and leadership. Marcus Hale was no ordinary human. He was an embodiment of everything the aliens had dismissed. She pondered silently, her voice echoing in the ship. Perhaps these humans are not to be destroyed, but observed. Perhaps they are exceptional. As the sun set over New Terra, the city below was scarred but not broken. Fires burned in some areas, but lights glimmered in others. Humans moved, worked, and fought, driven by the unshakable will to survive. Marcus looked out over the city, his eyes reflecting both fatigue and determination. "If they think we will surrender," he muttered, "they are wrong. Humanity will not fall. Not today, not ever." And far above, in the shadow of the alien fleet, Zira's glowing eyes followed him. The mocking that had filled her heart was gone, replaced by fascination. One human, one warrior, had already begun to change everything. The war was far from over, but the first strike had proven one undeniable truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. They were clever, courageous, and united by something no alien force could fully comprehend: their unbreakable spirit.